I am showing a time of 9 a.m. I would like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to today's Planning Commission meeting, August 28th, 2025. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Can we get verification of legal notice? Thank you. We do have one item in our consent agenda to approve the minutes from the August 8th, 2025 Special Planning Commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to public input, where anyone in the public can speak for 3 minutes regarding an item that is not in today's agenda. So I'm going to take a look in the Zoom room to see if there's anyone with a hand up. Anyone in the chambers that wishes to speak, you guys can do so. No hands in the Zoom room, nobody in the chambers. That means we're going to have a awkward 3 minutes till we pick up our 9:05 item. So if you guys just want to hang out for a little bit, and we'll call that item at 9:05. All right, welcome back. It is 9:05, so we will take our first public hearing item, item 6A, consideration of major use permit PL 25-282 for a commercial special event to allow events including serving food and wine located at 3210 and 3280 Big Valley Road in Kelseyville, 95451. The APNs are 008-0 037-30 and 008-037-31. The applicant is Mara Mehlman. Mehlman? Melman. Thank you. All right, so staff, take it away.
Yep.
Oh, I need this.
Yeah, I think she does it. Good morning, Chair Chavez, and sorry, I've been with the board this week too, commissioners. My name's Laura Hall. I'm with the Community Development Department, and I'm senior planner with for the on the project. And this project includes the Harmony Oop, can you go back, please? PL 25282, and the project name is Harmony. The applicant is Mara Melman, and the addresses are 3210 and 3280 Big Valley Road in Kelseyville. The assessor parcel numbers are 008-037-30 and 008-037-31. And today's agenda includes a permit application. Uh-oh, what's going on? Project description, site description, project analysis, environmental review, comments received, and recommendations. And this is the vicinity map of the site. The outlined blue are the two parcels. The one on the left includes a single-family residence, and that's where all the events will be held. And the one on the right includes the groundwater well for domestic use. That parcel also includes, I think, 2 or 3 irrigation wells. And so the applicant is requesting a major use permit, which is required for commercial special events. And I want to note that in the code, this is referred to as special events, commercial, but to make it easier so it flows better, I'm referring to it as commercial special events. And these photos here, the one on the left, shows the parking area up by the house. This is where they would come into the dining area, and over to the left they will be graveling that as part of the parking area. And then the other photo over to the right is part of the plating room, and so they will be bringing plates and food and things into that section before serving. And the proposed project is for a commercial events center, or commercial special events, and it would include serving farm-to-table food, utilizing vegetables and fruits from the property, and wine, including from local wineries. They're going to try to keep everything local if possible. Construction and improvement activities would include a gravel parking area with an 8-car capacity, and underfloor chef's kitchen in the undeveloped area of the home, a proposed dining area, and a reconstructed patio. Improvements would include outfitting the chef's kitchen, plating room, indoor dining area, plus incorporation of Americans with Disabilities compliant amenities. All reservations would be made in advance through ticket sales online, and the hours of operation would be from 4 to 9:30, with guest arrival at 5 and departures at 9:30 p.m. Each dinner would be fully staffed by the 2 owners of the property, and the site would be accessed from Big Valley Road, and there is a groundwater well and septic system that is, the groundwater well is on the second parcel. And this is the site map. As you can see on the site map, the dark round circles to the left on the bottom are the fruit trees, and then above that are several garden boxes where they'll grow all the vegetables and fruits for the business. And so up to the left-hand side of the house and the driveway is the proposed parking area. That's where they're going to be putting the rest of the gravel. And then over on the right-hand parcel, down to the bottom, the little square box there is the groundwater well. And the photo to the left is the driveway looking towards Big Valley Road. And so the main parcel with a single-family home is approximately 5.27 acres, and the topography is relatively flat, and the vegetation includes non-native grasses, shrubs, and trees. There is a recorded waterway identified by the EPA wetland mapper as an intermittent ravine. During the site visit last month, there was no water in the ravine. It was dry. But the planted vegetation on the photo to the left, on the edge of the photo there, is the ravine area that goes along the border, on the western border of the property. And the site visit was on August 7th. The adjacent parcel to on the right-hand picture to the right, and I have more photos of that. That's not a really good photo of that. Actually, it's to the left. That is approximately 5.32 acres, and the parcel is not developed with structures and is relatively flat. And again, that includes the domestic wells, or the domestic well and irrigation wells. And so staff looked at the following general plan, Kelsville area plan, and Lake County zoning ordinance for compliance with the project. And we looked at goal LU3, policy LU34, and the goal LU3, the purpose of that is to provide adequate land in a range of residential densities to accommodate the housing need of all income groups expected to reside in the county and ensure high quality of development. And policy LU34, residential agricultural uses, says that the county shall limit land designated for agriculture use to only allow single-family residents and quarters for farm laborers as secondary uses, agricultural tourism, related uses, and agricultural support services. And although the agricultural tourism is not defined in the Lake County 2008 General Plan, according to United States Department of Agriculture, agritourism is a form of commercial enterprise that links agricultural production and or processing with tourism to attract visitors onto a farm or ranch or other agricultural business for the purposes of entertaining the visitors while generating income for the farm, ranch, or business owner. And goal 6, its purpose is to maintain a healthy and diverse local economy that meets the present and future employment, shopping, and recreational and service needs of Lake County residents. Policy LU16, diverse economic base. The county shall actively promote the development of diversified economic base by continuing to promote agriculture, recreational services, and commerce, and by expanding its efforts to encourage industrial and non-industrial corporate development and the development of geothermal resources. And so this project would add a diversified economic base in Lake County and promote agriculture. The applicant would host up to 96 dining events per year with a maximum of 8 vehicles per event by reservation only, no walk-ins. Hours of operation, I've already went over those, and the events would be staffed by the owners of the property. And for the Kelsville area plan, we looked at objective 3.5 to encourage agricultural activities and development in Kelsville planning area and limit the intrusion of incompatible development into prime agricultural areas. Policy 3.5A, development shall be directed to areas which will minimize impacts to prime farmland. So the project parcels are bordered to the north by prime farmland and farmland of statewide importance, and to the east, south, and west by farmland of local importance. However, in the Lake County Code, zoning Article 27 allows for commercial special events with a major use permit on the lands designated as agriculture. There would be 8 vehicles at a time visiting the site, and the parking area would be inside of the property. Historically, pears were grown on the properties, which used a lot of water compared to the purpose of this use. We estimate that around 21,934 gallons per year would be required for this business. And the proposed parking area is not expected to impact surrounding agricultural lands. Everything's going to be on the property. Next slide. And so we also looked at the following articles. The project site is zoned agricultural A, and so we looked at Article 5 and Article 27, uses generally permitted. There are no special requirements in Article 27 for commercial special events. However, the project would have to comply with the requirements of Article 5 and the other articles listed here. According to, Article 41, performance standards, post-project would comply with all local, state, and federal requirements for building and preparation of serving food and wine, in addition to all other applicable performance standards including for air quality, emergency services, hazardous explosions, landscaping, and noise and vibrations. The project site is located at approximately 1.2 miles from Kelsville, where fire services would be. And the proposed dining would be inside. They do have an outside patio that the customers come to after eating, but the music, low music, not amplified, would be inside the dining area, and most of the activities would be inside the home. For Article 46, regulations for parking, they really didn't have a use that matched this use, because this is a much smaller business. It's going to be, it's not like a restaurant, but we used the restaurant, bar, cocktail lounge from Article 46 to kind of look at the parking and what would be required. And based on that, they would not exceed the 400 square feet of the dining area. For each 20 feet, they would be required to have a 9-foot by 20-foot parking space. And so they have plenty of room for their parking. And for the CEQA on the project, we exempted it under 15301 Class 1 for existing facilities because it is an existing house and everything is already there. Nothing has to be, there's going to be updates and things like that, but it's all existing right now. And we also looked at section 15300.2 to make sure none of the exceptions applied for CEQA, and none of them did, so we applied that exception. And we received comments from the Audubon and the PG&E, and the Audubon gave a favorable comments. They're really excited to see it come in, this project to come into that area. And we received tribal comments, but they were comments on referring to the Big Valley Band of Pomo Indians. We received one comment from Uchidihi on June 12, 2025, and a letter from Upper Lake Habimanable Pomo on May 30th, 2025, both referring to the Big Band Valley tribe, but we never received, they received the RFR with the rest of the tribes, all 11 tribes, and we never received any response from them. And those comments are included in attachment 4 of the staff report. And recommendations, staff recommends that the Planning Commission take the following actions. Approve major use permit UP PL 25-282, harmony with the following findings. 1, that the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the use applied for will not, under the circumstances, be detrimental to health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare of the persons residing or working in the neighborhood of such proposed use, or be detrimental to the property and improvements in the neighborhood or the general welfare of the county. 2, the site is adequate in shape, size, shape, and location and physical characteristics to accommodate the type of use and level of development proposed. 3, the streets, highway, and pedestrian facilities are reasonably adequate to safely accommodate the proposed use. 4, there are adequate services to serve the project. 5, the project is consistent with the Lake County General Plan, Kelsville Area Plan, and Lake County Zoning Ordinance. 6, no violation of Chapters 5, 17, 21, 23, or 26 of the Lake County Code currently exists on this property with a condition of approval implemented. And staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the project with the sample motions listed in the August 28, 2025 staff report. And that is the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Laura. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question. We had a comment from Margot Kambara, and she brought up a question regarding the footprint of the home. Will the footprint of the home be increased?
No.
Thank you.
I have a few questions. First off, I just want for clarification, a proposed major use permit like this, this permit goes with the land, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What agriculture is happening on the property at this particular time?
They are growing the fruit trees and vegetables, and that's it right now, as far as
Do
I know.
you have a quantitative, like acreage, crops, is it grown commercially?
We do have the applicant here, I think,
Yes,
to
we
answer
Okay.
questions.
So that will be a question for later then. Was there any discussion at any point in this project to possibly rezone this parcel?
No.
No, okay. And was the ag element of the general plan referred to also in review of this project?
I believe that we went over the ag review for the, when we did the analysis. Let me see. You go back to that. General plan, yeah, it begins on page 7, gold AR-3 and AR 3.1. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right, that's all I have for the moment, and I'll revisit some of that. Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Sure. All right, I had a few questions. Well, first of all, thank you guys for coming to present your project. I am looking forward to hearing from you guys. I want to be able to visualize, like, if we were there at an event, what exactly we would be, served, one of the questions is, yeah, like what kind of food was going to be served, what, and if alcohol or in this case wine would be served, would there be like a third-party bartending service, or would there be a liquor license?
There would be a liquor license, they would have to get that, but no bar, no. They're just going to be serving a glass of wine with the meals.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had. And then also, I see that the septic tank is 1,500 gallon. That's way bigger than a typical one that you would usually have for a home, which is on average 500, I'm assuming.
It's a large home, it's
yeah.
5,000 something.
Would that be adequate for the events that we're expecting in a year? About, I think they said, what was it, like 4 per month, or 96 per year? Or would blue rooms potentially be considered?
For the septic tank, they are doing other work on the property. The house is being redone, so they've been in touch with environmental health, and environmental health confirmed the septic tank.
Okay, yeah, and I just want to make sure that the capacity for that septic tank would be adequate for the life of the project. And if, there are other options as well, like, for example, if something were to happen, there are blue rooms available in the case, That's the good thing about that. I think those are all my questions for now. Are there any more questions before we bring the applicant?
I just have one. So this will be just a fully contained event space. Will it be available for rental for
No.
anybody else?
No.
And so the clientele or the customers would be home. What is the? Maybe they'll address that in their presentation.
I don't know if they have a presentation, but they can answer questions for sure. What was your question again? Can you restate?
Well, the first one was, is it rentable by somebody else? If I wanted to
No.
have an event, could I come and rent their space?
No.
Okay. And the second one, I was wondering what their clientele, 96 events a year, that's a lot. I know that's up to, so it may not meet that threshold. Just wondering who the clientele is and what the events would be.
Yes, maybe they can address that, the clientele question.
Okay.
I had one more question, real quick. So I know that one of the domestic wells, or one domestic well and 2 ag wells are all on the second property. The one domestic well that is currently being used, I know that one's mapped on the site plan that we received, and the other 2 are not. Is that because those other 2 will not be used for the moment?
No, they will not be used. Those are for irrigation, not for this proposed project.
Okay, that's it. All right, so I'd like to welcome the applicants to come up, and if you guys could answer some of those questions. Yeah, the mic is fine, yeah. And then please say your first and last name.
Hi, excuse me. I'm Mara Melman, and thank you so much for this opportunity. We're very excited about it. For my partner here is Yevgenia Saramova. She is a European Michelin star trained chef. And we moved from Vermont, where we owned an inn with a restaurant. And we did very high-end, very intimate, 7-course chef tasting menus, all wine paired. So what we are bringing to Kelseyville is the same opportunity of a very intimate, very high-end, 7-course chef tasting menu with wine paired with each course. And we are very excited. We planted our orchard, the beginning of our micro orchard, and we also have planted our, what we call our micro farm, very small for now. And we are going to be doing farm to table. We hope as we grow to be completely sustainable as far as vegetables and fruits. But we are very, very in favor of supporting the local farming community, the small farms, who we will be, purchasing from as well. And also, we're very excited to be in this wonderful wine region, and we will be serving local wines as well. The goal for us, this is our passion, and we want to share our passion with the community and with tourists from outside of the community as well. And it's all about debuting what Lake County has to offer. This is why we chose to move from Vermont here. We're in love with the community, the area, and all that it provides.
So your target market is both within the county and outside? Do you have any specific?
So we have quite a reputation. We earned on Forbes 10 best restaurants, including Asia and Europe, which brought in a lot of tourism to Vermont, to the area we were in, Woodstock, Vermont. So we hope to bring in a lot of tourism, which we hope to bring and boost the economy. Once our tourists come to the area, our website will promote local businesses, stores, bed and breakfasts, inns, hotels, other restaurants, wineries, tourist places for them to go. So our goal is to also strengthen the economy of the area as we did successfully in Woodstock, Vermont.
Okay, I'm very excited about, what you're proposing and what you're doing. What I'm not excited about is that it is on ag land. And we have certain ag policies, and that's where I'm just not quite sure how to fit this in. Again, I'm very excited about what you're doing and would love to support it. I'm not sure how to fit this in with our ag element in our general plan. That speaks to things like that a use like this is supposed to be secondary to the ag that happens on the property. So this sounds like this is foremost and the ag is secondary. So I have that issue. Then there's also an issue that I have with the water, and I would love to, hear from you whether you have any ideas about this. But again, in our ag element, it speaks about, because we have a minimum ag parcel size of 40 acres. But of course, we have many ag parcels in the county, including the ag parcel that this project is sought to be on, that are smaller than that. And in our ag element, it also speaks about working towards combining parcels so that we can get back to establishing and saving our ag land. So you have 2 5-acre parcels there. One which you want to do an event site on, and the other has all the water for it. Yet they're 2 separate parcels. And this project goes with the permit, goes with the land, not with you, the owner. And so what happens down the line when one of those parcels is sold, whether you stay, something happens, you decide to go back to Vermont, this permit is on that property. What happens with the water when perhaps there's 2 different owners on those parcels, and the one owner says, I don't want to give my water to the other parcel. So, so there's a lot of different things. And so I ask you, too, have you considered merging those parcels? So we have a 10-acre parcel, and those are together. Also, again, back to as far as agriculture, what are your plans in regard to ag once the property had pears on it, and that's why you have those ag wells there? Is there any plan to reestablish? I also want to point out for my fellow planning commissioners and for everyone listening, is that I'm also looking for consistency on ag parcels and the expectation for other extracurricular ag activities on ag parcels. Currently, we have with our wineries that they are required to have, have a tasting room on an ag parcel, they're required to have 10 acres of vineyard on that parcel in order to have a tasting room and/or a small restaurant and other facilities. So I'm looking at consistency across the board, both for, other industries, wine, cannabis, how can we make this fair and equitable, preserve ag, and make sure that we stay with the intention that it's ag is the priority on ag land, and then the activities and events are secondary. I welcome any comments you have in regard to your future plans, but that's my spiel.
So first, there is a legal easement that the water will always be shared between the two properties. So regardless of the future selling of that second parcel, there is an easement that they need to provide water to both parcels. So that is in the legal easement of the two parcels, and as far as the water always being for both parcels, you can't,
Then why not merge?
it just hasn't happened. We arrived February 28th. That's a good question. Maybe we will do that. We honestly just arrived February 28th.
Okay.
They were two separate parcels, and we purchased both. And as far as, we are keeping to the goal of agriculture with our micro farm and our micro orchard. My personal dream would be to plant a vineyard on the open land. We haven't gotten there yet. So yes, my goal is to keep to agriculture. That is why we chose to come here. As far as merging the two, that hasn't even come up for us. We haven't even honestly thought about that. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that, because we have no intention of selling the separate parcel. And as far as the events, I just want to perhaps go into more detail of our dinners. So our dinners, it's maximum 10 people sitting at one long communal table. It's about, with the name Harmony. From the land comes this. And so our dinners are about, with our 7-course, we describe each course. We describe all of the ingredients used in the course. So really what we're doing is we're bringing the basic concept of where does food come from. This is not a restaurant. It's a chef tasting menu. So we present to them, and we describe about the ingredients and how these ingredients combine to make this dish. So that is what, if I may say, in my opinion, that is agriculture. Food comes from the earth. That's the whole goal of Harmony. And our logo is a tree showing the roots on up to the tree. So it's connecting all of those elements, and
I totally agree with you. I'm sorry. I totally agree with you. So that it is ag. So it's just that it's not, as our ag element describes it, that's not, this is a land use decision. And so as our ag element describes it, is that there's something on the land that's planted, not just done in the kitchen. So, and I know what you're talking about as far as ideal meals, I would buy tickets to go. I'm excited about what you're proposing. So, but this is a land use decision that is to support ag. And so another ag policy that we have is policy AR 2.4 that states the activity must be found to support ag operations, production, and processing within the county. So as I read through the report, and as I heard our staff member describe it, I think she was describing it slightly different than what I was reading in the report, that some of the food may come from the property and from Lake County, but some of it will not. And the same thing with wine, as it said some, but not all. In fact, I think on the front page here it says, where is it? Anyway, but it indicates or whatever that, will include Lake County wines, but not all. So there's that, without having ag on the property itself, and then without a 100% commitment, to providing ag products from Lake County. And, I don't even know if that's feasible, again, with what you're planning to do, because I understand, what you're
Commissioners?
talking about in the fine meals, so.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, when planning projects are brought to your commission, it is important to remember that that you're analyzing the project as presented, and its match with the rules and the ordinance in which that the board and the county has adopted. It is not a circumstance in which you can insert your preferred project over the one that's been presented to you. So the ag requirements within the ordinance do not require that an individual entity, as far as I'm aware, promise to only dedicate themselves to Lake County and Lake County ag products. What you're analyzing today is whether or not the proposed project in front of you and its elements meet the ordinance requirements, and whether or not it is allowable under the ordinance, and whether or not the impacts under CEQA have been mitigated to less than significant.
Additionally, if I could assist with a bit of context, I can appreciate Commissioner Rosenthal's concern regarding the use of prime ag soils going away from agricultural specific activity on the land. These two parcels combined are 10 acres, which in our agricultural element we typically will consider like a ranchette. Like, it's been diminished to the point where prime ag use is no longer viable, and we hate to see that revert away from an ag use. So this proposed project, I feel, is compliant with the agricultural element in a number of ways. 2.2, agricultural promotion, a farm-to-table proposal similar to the farm-to-table events that we're starting to see more and more of, like over at Peace and Plenty, that promotes local agriculture. Ag-related support industries, 2.4, as Commissioner Rosenthal has previously pointed out, definitely on at least a minimum size agricultural parcel of about 40 acres that has a prime ag use. That's where that 2.4 comes in. However, I think that it still supports the spirit of 2.4 in that it is unable to currently accomplish a primary ag use that then in the existing house, would then be an accessory use. But what it does do is, what this project does propose is they're growing their micro garden right now and are proposing to continue that farm-to-table business that they've operated elsewhere in Lake County. It also is compliant with 2.6 for ag support businesses, as well as compliant with 2.8 ag-related commercial uses, and consistent with goal AR-3, which is to provide opportunities for ag tourism. This is another step. This is another way to diversify our agriculture in Lake County by promoting additional ag tourism uses. Wells regularly supply water for up to 4 other parcels without having to then become like state smalls with additional requirements on them. So we do see that regularly in the parcels that use domestic wells or share domestic wells. The easement helps. That's something that we see commonly. Merging those 2 parcels would not be required because of the access to that shared well. We don't consider that under threat, in which case we would have already taken steps to request that the applicant merge those parcels as part of the project.
I have a question. Would after these dinners, would overnight accommodations be on offer?
So on our website, we will highlight local accommodations for them to stay at. We are not supplying accommodations on our properties.
Okay, I know it's a large house, I just didn't know. As a thought, I know that we can offer some maybe mitigations. I wonder if, to address some of your concerns about the ag use, could we approve a permit for a prescribed period of time, not to go with the land in perpetuity, but for instance, have this use be allowed for, say, a 10-year period, and then come back to reapply at the end of that period, seeing how the operation unfolded, and see if that would address some of the concerns that you have voiced.
That is a common concern that because a use permit does follow the land.
Right.
However, if future property owners did not want to operate this business at this site with these conditions in place and with the project description as approved, if they chose not to, it would expire naturally after 2 years of unuse, or it would require a modification.
May I speak? I have a couple comments. First of all, I think this is a really exciting project. In Lake County, we have struggled for decades. There's always been a conflict between tourism and agriculture, and this kind of unifies us, I think, this kind of thing. I see it as a vertical integration of agriculture. You're taking, I think you said it quite articulately, you're taking the food and preparing it to be eaten. I just think it's a wonderful, very exciting project. I do want to make you aware of one concern that I think, I'm a pear farmer, and so is Commissioner Zoller. If you were to grow pears on your parcel, you would have to make sure that all the pests are controlled. I don't know if the Ag Department still does surveys, but we have a number of pests that will destroy our product completely. The codling moth comes to mind. The way that we control codling moth now in organics, which I do, is through use of a pheromone. And what we do is we flood the orchard with this pheromone so the males cannot find the
Commissioner
females.
Field, if I can interrupt, I don't
this-
think that has to do with the proposed
So,
project.
So
if you wanna get to
what
your
I'm
point.
just suggesting is that if you're going to do agriculture, please get involved in the agricultural community, and I can tell that this is going to be a big concern for pear growers if you grow 5 pear trees and don't take care of them, that's all. But otherwise, I'm very excited about this, and I'm ready to make a motion if discussion is.
We still have a public input that we have, yeah, so. Yeah.
I also have a comment in regard to that, is I also have a little bit of a concern of the surrounding parcels around there, and much along the line as Commissioner that just spoke was stating, as far as about the pears use sprays. There are other things that are used around, in areas that surround this activity. I know it was mentioned as far as that, mainly everything is gonna be inside in the evening hours, but still, one of the reasons why we have buffers in, an ag zone and we don't, have, anyway, we have sometimes issues. We have the right to farm, with our farming operations, so you've got a farming community around you that may be doing activities that might, from time to time, interfere with what your activities are. And so that's just another little concern I have there. Thank you.
I had one more comment before we open up public comment. I think that your project is very tailored to, I think, your dreams and what you want to accomplish. It sounds very exciting to have something small. It's not something, when you use the word commercial, you think of commercial kitchen, you have all these things going on. You're serving, hundreds of people. I think keeping it small, keeping it local, I think it's a great fit for our community, and I'm excited to see this project. So
Thank you.
thank you. If there's no further comments from the commission, I'd like to open up public comment. So if anybody wishes to speak on the project, you'll be given 3 minutes. So we welcome everyone on Zoom that wishes to comment, people in the chambers. Just gonna take a look around. I don't see anyone in the chambers. Anyone in the applicants that you guys would like to say anything? Not required, but you guys can if you want to. Gonna double check in the Zoom room. We have 2 hands in the Zoom room, so we'll take those 2. Let me know which one's coming first. So we'll take the first speaker. Please state your first and last name for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes.
Good morning, Chair Chavez and Commissioners. This is Margot Cambara, Lake County General Plan Advisory Committee representative. This project appears to be a positive addition to the county's economic development offerings. I do want to bring something to your attention, and that is Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council sent a letter to the Board of Supervisors on March 17th, 2025, stating support for preserving agricultural lands and challenging the notion that viability for economic development as far as ag acreage is concerned must be a minimum of 40 acres. The Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council reminded the Board of Supervisors that agriculturally viable lands can occur on as few acres as 8, 5, and 10 acres. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And we'll take the next speaker. Please state your first and last name for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes.
My name is Lisa Wicke Schaffner. I am at 3050 Big Valley Road. I have sent letters. I run the North Coast Builders Exchange, and we are advocates, a construction trade association advocates for good and smart development and economic development in Lake County. But today I wear a different hat. In April of this year, I purchased the lot 1 parcel over from my new neighbors and was excited to hear that this agro-tourism opportunity, not to mention I'm a foodie, was coming into Kelseyville. And so we feel, my family and I are there, we are new residents, we want to be a part of the community and are excited that we have neighbors that want to be a part of the community and bring people to see all that Kelseyville has to offer. So I just want to tell you, as a neighbor, we have no concerns with this project. I know it is considered a major use permit. It feels for 10 people a night, not like very major. It does not feel like it will impact us, our property, and only bring positive into the Kelseyville area. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any new hands in the Zoom room? No hands in the Zoom room. One last chance for people in chambers. I'll be closing public comment, and we'll bring it back to the commission for action.
I'm ready to make a motion if no further discussion is. I move the Planning Commission find the major use permit PL 25-282 located at 3210 Big Valley Road in Kelseyville, APNs 008, 037, 30, and 31, to be categorically exempt from CEQA under the California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Division 6, Chapter 3, Article 19, Section 15301, Class 1, existing facilities based on the findings in the staff report.
Second?
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
All opposed? No. So we have 1 no and 4 ayes, so the motion passes.
I move the Planning Commission find that major use permit PL 25-282 for a special event commercial to serve food and wine at 3210 Big Valley Road in Kelseyville, APN 008, 037, 30, and 31, based on the findings and subject to the conditions in the staff report.
Second?
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
4 ayes and 1 no. The motion passes. Note, the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7-day calendar day appeal period. If there's a disagreement with the Planning Commission's decision, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day following the Planning Commission's final determination. Thank you very much. And moving on to our item 6B, our 9:20 a.m. public hearing. Consideration of proposed major use permit, UP 24-01/PL 25-25. MIT Farms, an initial study / mitigated negative declaration, IS 24-01 and PL-25-25, for approval of a commercial outdoor cannabis cultivation of up to 42,066 square feet canopy located at 22368 and 22430 Jerusalem Grade, Middletown. The APNs are 136-071-02 and 03. The applicant is MIT Farms, LLC. Staff.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. The applicant and the consultant are present today in chambers, and this is for major use permit PL 25-25, or also known as UP 24-01. My name is Trish Turner. I'm an associate planner with the Community Development Department of Lake County. The permit request today is going to be requesting 42,066 square feet of outdoor commercial cannabis canopy within 3 gardens and 1 A-type 13 self-distribution transport-only license on parcel size combined of 37.27 acres. The site is located approximately 2 miles east of the Coyote Valley Community Growth Boundary, and the 37-acre property is located approximately 7.5 miles southeast of the community of Lower Lake at the northern end of Jerusalem Valley. The zoning and the general plan designation for this property is rural lands. It is in the Lower Lake Planning Area and Supervisor District 1. The project is situated in an area characterized by large undeveloped lots located in the hills of Jerusalem Grade, with setbacks from cultivation areas that are at least 100 feet from the nearest property line, meeting setback requirements. There is 1 Class 1 water course, Class 2, and numerous Class 3 water courses on the property. Setbacks are at least 150 feet from the Class 1 water course. For the Class 2 water course, it is over 150 feet setback, and 100 feet from the Class 3 water courses, meeting setback requirements for waterways. The applicant will install 2 culvert crossings and has submitted an LSA, or lake bed stream alteration application, for the installation of these culverts, and the LSA will go into effect after CDFW receives the notice of determination of the project approval by the County of Lake. There are 3 cultivation areas identified in the site plans, which is attachment 1 in the staff's report. The project proposes 42,066 square feet of canopy, 3 5,000-gallon water storage tanks, 2 120 square feet wooden storage sheds, 4 employee parking spaces, including 1 gallon water storage tank made of steel, fiberglass, or concrete dedicated to fire suppression, and 2 culvert installations. The project property is accessed via a shared private gravel access road off of Jerusalem Grade. The proposed cultivation areas and ancillary facilities will be accessed via private gravel roads. Locking metal gates across the private gravel access roads will control access to the proposed cultivation areas. The property project was severely burned in the Hennessy fire, part of the LNU Lightning Complex, in August of 2020. The site is developed with 2 existing groundwater wells, a security gate, and an existing roadway. The project analysis was reviewed for compliance with the Lake County General Plan, the Lower Lake Area Plan, the Lake County Zoning Ordinance, and California State regulations. The Lake County General Plan was analyzed for Chapter 3 for land use, Chapter 7 for health and safety, Chapter 8 for noise, and Chapter 11 with water resources. The Lower Lake Area Plan is which this project is located in, and it was analyzed for several different objectives and policies. The objective 3.1 is to encourage programs which reduce and limit potential for soil erosion. The applicant has submitted grading and stormwater erosion control plans within the site plans, which is attachment 1, and shall implement best management practices whenever they are doing cultivation operations. Objective 4.5 is to protect water quality in the Lower Lake area for long-term benefit of area residents. The applicant intends to utilize drip irrigation systems for water delivery to the garden beds and canopy areas. Excuse me. The applicant has provided a hydrology analysis report, which is attachment 6, and a drought management plan, which is attachment 7. The project is conditioned to install water monitoring equipment on their wells and submit the collected data within their annual performance reports. And policy 5.1B, the project is proposed, so a high priority should be given to providing services and employment opportunities locally in Lower Lake. And the project as proposed will employ up to 4 staff members during regular season and up to 8 staff members during peak season, which they will spend their money within the local community, rent in the local community, and which is boosting the local economy as well. The Lake County Ordinance, Article 7, Rural Lands, and Article 27, Uses Generally Permitted. The cultivation of commercial cannabis is permitted in Article 7, Rural Lands, zoning districts upon issuance of a major use permit pursuant to Article 27, subsection 13 AT, Table B of the Lake County Zoning Ordinance. The CEQA initial study found that the project could cause potential impacts to resources of aesthetics, air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, hazards and hazardous materials, noise, tribal cultural resources, and wildfire. The California Environmental Quality Act, also known as CEQA, a mitigated negative declaration is a proposed CEQA environmental determination for this project. All identified impacts can be reduced to less than significant with the mitigation measures incorporated. And public comment period occurred from March 6th, 2025 to April 7th, 2025. And these mitigations are outlined in staff report attachments 2, draft conditions of approval, and attachment 4, the draft initial study. AB 52 tribal notification. Notification of the project was sent to local tribes on May 17th of 2024. Habemetal Pomo of Upper Lake and Yocha Dihi Wentan Nation deferred correspondence to Middletown Rancheria in June of 2024. No other comments were received and tribal consultation was not requested. Aspects of interest is water use. All major and minor use permit applicants are required to submit a hydrology analysis and are required to submit an estimated annual usage. Water use is estimated for this project to be at 1.96 acre feet per year. The recharge rate of the project property is 11.85 acre feet a year. Therefore, according to the hydrological analysis, there is enough water available for this project without causing overdraft conditions. For all permitted cannabis cultivation projects, water monitoring is required and is submitted to the Community Development Department performance reports as part of their annual compliance monitoring and identifying estimated and actual use. There are 3 pending projects and 2 approved projects within 1 mile of this proposed project. And there are 7 pending projects and 12 approved projects within 3 miles of this proposed project. Recommendations. Environmental.
Say that again, one more time, please.
I was going to ask the same thing.
Sure.
Wait. Say that slower, please.
Definitely, sorry. The orange is proposed, are pending projects, and the green are approved projects.
Okay, say the numbers one more time, please.
Okay, yeah, sorry if I'm going a little fast. Within 1 mile of the proposed project, so that's the slide to the left, is within 1 mile. The orange ones are the pending projects, and the green ones are the approved. So there are 3 pending projects and 2 approved projects within 1 mile of the proposed project.
And then
And then the one on the right is there are 7 pending projects and 12 approved projects within 3 miles of the proposed project.
7 pending and 12 approved?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. The recommendations today, and the environmental recommendations, is adopt mitigated negative declaration, initial study 24-01 for use permit UP 24-01, or also known as PL-25-25, with findings found in the staff reports. The major use permit recommendations is approve use permit UP 24-01, or also known as PL-25-25, with the proposed conditions of approval and with the findings found in the staff report. Are there any questions or comments?
Just a clarification on the numbers that you gave us. Are the 1 mile numbers also included in the 3 mile numbers? Or
Yes.
are those separate numbers?
No, they are included.
Okay. Thank you, and that information wasn't included in our
Right,
report.
yeah. So,
So I think that's why we're all like
like,
stopping, so, because I know I had a question on,
yeah, okay.
on that, and for whatever reason that wasn't
Yeah,
included.
it was not there, so thank you very much.
No worries.
Okay. So I have a couple questions. Number 1, on the notice of public hearing. I just wanted to ask for clarification on this because the notice of public hearing states the address is Lower Lake. And I can understand the boundaries, that the project itself is probably in the Lower Lake planning area, but the address, but I just want to make sure we're clear on this notice of public hearing where it was stated as Lower Lake as the address versus Middletown.
That was a mistake. However, the noticing labels created for noticing to the neighbors are done from a certain amount of feet from the parcel number. So the labels that went out to the neighbors are all within 725 feet of the actual parcel.
Okay.
And the APNs are correct.
Yes, I did take a look at that. I just wanted to make sure that didn't pose any problem. So Ann wanted to just bring that up for clarification. So within the information, it somewhere, and I'm sorry, I can't pinpoint it, but another note I had here was that flood hazards were undetermined. Can you elaborate on that?
It's just what the overlay for flood hazards has not been determined by FEMA. So whenever areas are located in a zone D, they have been undetermined for their flood zones and things like that. So it hasn't been determined by FEMA.
Okay, thank you.
So they are not in the floodplain where they have to get FEMA insurance?
Correct. Well, I can't say FEMA insurance. I don't know about that. I can just say that.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So, and there is fencing that's proposed on this project. And this is just, and perhaps this is a little bit off topic, but I'm just wondering, do we have any guidelines for fencing for cannabis projects at this point?
Yeah, they are supposed to be fully fenced. Properties are.
But as far as materials and, what that fencing looks like, or?
No, the material is not something that is
Okay.
required. It just has to be security fencing.
Okay, and then I have questions on the solar on a portable trailer to power the water pumps. So this is the first time, at least, that I've run across this, and this may be a question for the applicant, but do you have any elaboration on that?
I'll defer to the applicant.
Okay. Is there a house on the property?
No.
And we currently do not require a house on a property?
No.
there? Okay. The site restoration agreement, can you elaborate on that a little bit, exactly what that looks like, or what that,
So
that would-
if at the end, if they decide that they no longer want to do cannabis, or the project expires, then the site will have to be returned to its natural state.
Whose responsibility is that?
That would be the applicant's responsibility, and then we would do our inspections for it.
I've been reading the comment from the Red Bud Audubon, and I think their issues are relevant. I'd like to hear whether some of them have maybe already been covered. There's a list. I think some of them are standard operating procedure, but if not, can we require them? This might be a,
Which comments?
would you like me to read it?
Yes.
Okay.
And you don't have to read the whole thing, just which comments are you?
Okay, it's the Red Bud Audubon comment from 9 a.m. Please
Okay.
deny without prejudice or condition approval on the following pre-work requirements. And it lists 6 items.
Right. Okay, so the LSAA, it is already been submitted the application has been submitted to CDFW. They are waiting on the approval to issue the actual LSA agreement. Yeah. And then this, the comment number 2 is part of the first comment, and the answer for that is the LSAA. They do have a current water board enrollment, and we never include the AB 52 consultation record. That is not public record. That is private, confidential stuff. The comments provided by other tribes can be, but the actual consultation process, which was not requested, is confidential. And then the CAL FIRE fire access and water supply concurrence, that is not required since it is going to be 100% outdoor with no processing facilities. And then the verify water supply with the 24-hour late summer pump test, it's not a current requirement.
I have a question on the water. On the CEQA report, page 4, there's a chart there, and it says how much water is estimated to be used. So I ran the numbers, and it's about 20% off. It makes me a little wary of the information that was given as far as the water use. So I just did a simple math on, it says we're going to use about this many gallons per day over these months. The chart at the bottom does not match the math at the top, what it would work out. And it's 20% difference as far as acre feet for the year. It's 2.34, not the stated 1.96. Anyway,
Okay, I'll defer to the applicant on that.
okay, just concerned that, I got my abacus out and ran it and it didn't add up.
No worries.
So,
I'd like to echo Commissioner Zoller's concerns in that I would really, really like to stick with one number or the other so that we don't have to do a bunch of math. Acre feet is really hard to calculate when you're doing gallons per minute. Thank you.
I'd also like to add a question on the water, and again, referring to a letter that was received by Dorothy Knockblock, concerned about the impacts of the water in the area, and just wondering what we have. Again, you just gave us those numbers of the projects that are surrounding that, both pending and approved. So I just wonder, has there been any evaluation of the cumulative impacts, specifically in regard to the groundwater, as the Department of Cannabis Control themselves has stated that from the groundwater diversing on the health, including impacts on the users and impacts of the stream and related resources in the area, especially in Lake County.
So the hydrology report does include the sphere of influence, which this well is located in, and Dorothy, I think her name was, her sphere of influence was nowhere near the influence of the well.
Okay, but she still brings up a good point as
She
far as
does.
the cumulative impacts of, given, again, those numbers that you gave us of the pending and approved projects in the area.
Absolutely.
I did have one question. I know in one of the reports that we got, it talks about portable restroom facilities. I didn't see that on the site map, so I had other questions regarding employee housing, or if someone's going to be on the property 24/7 for hours or for operation.
So hours of operation are included in the staff report and in the initial study. I will defer any other of those types of questions to the applicant. There has not ever been stated that there would be employees on site 24/7. There is currently no housing on the site.
Yeah, I just didn't see that in the proposed features or existing features. So, we'll have them come up and.
Okay.
And I have one other comment of note, just that I noticed that there was no comment in the agency comments from CAL FIRE or from Public Works. And I did want to hear a little bit more also on the installation of the culverts.
I'll have the applicant answer the questions on the installation of the culverts.
I have a question about the CAL FIRE. We've spent a lot of time in our conversations about fire and dealing with anything that might come along. And I'm concerned about, or have a wonderment about, the roads that going into the property. Are they up to the standards that CAL FIRE requires?
They're not required to. Because they are fully outdoor and they have no permit, no processing facility, nothing like that. There's going to be 2 small sheds on the property. They're not required to meet 4290, 4291 requirements. This Board of Supervisors adopted an ordinance that allowed for outdoor cannabis only to use ag standard roads, not be required to meet the Public Resource Code 4290 and 4291.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't know that. We spent a lot of time talking about that on other projects. I have a question about, hang on here. I did the fire, number 4. Oh, In the various attachments, there's a report from the sheriff, which we always get when we have a cannabis project. It did not make reference to DOJ approval. We've had some cannabis projects where there've been some little bumps in the road where people weren't totally, copacetic with that. So I didn't see that that had been done.
Yes, that has been done. All applicants are required to do the live scan and pass a background check. That stuff is the result is not public, is not open to the public, but we have confirmed that they have passed the background check.
That's actually a completeness. It's on our completeness checklist. So this project will not get to you unless the applicants have completed that background check.
Okay, so we would only see it if there were issues. We will just assume there weren't. Got it, thank you. Well, I'm glad of that, but anyway, thank you. There were a number of things under the mandatory findings on page, in CEQA. Hang on, let me get down there. One thing I did notice, and just a general clarification for me, I'm just pulling out here, biological resources. There are 4 different potential significant impact, less than significant with mitigations, less than significant impact, and no impact. Could you just give me clarification when it says less significant with mitigations? Is there a specific criteria for the mitigating thing for each one of those? It seems like it's sort of a large breadth of fitting into that. What does that mean? Because there were in this particular report under aesthetics, geological impact, hydrology, noise, wildfire, they all had areas where that was checked. It seemed like a lot, but it all said it can be mitigated. Precisely what does that mean? Can be fixed? I know what the word mitigation means, but I don't know how it lines up as...
Commissioners, if I may, under CEQA, what's required is that as soon as a project is determined to move forward, that moment is the threshold, the existence and the condition of the property in that moment, and the environment in that moment is the threshold that cannot be exceeded. So if the project is going to create impacts that are worse than that, then those impacts need to be mitigated to the same or less than the current pre-approval project location environment. And so that's the goal of mitigations, is to mitigate so that the project does not create impacts that are greater than those that exist currently at the time in the environment of the location at this time.
And that is determined by the planning department, or?
Yeah, so it should be, if the county hasn't adopted thresholds of significance that are sort of generally applicable to the county itself in certain areas, then yeah, it would be based on the individual project. Staff would evaluate that location and then compare it to the potential impacts of the proposed project. And then that would be informed by resource experts, so reaching out to federal agencies, Fish and Wildlife, Bureau of Land Management, other governments like tribal governments for their expertise to determine whether there will be impacts to the environment as it exists now and how to mitigate them.
Thank you. Okay. I did notice just on, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, this is the major permit use. On the front page, it says expires if not used till 2027, and then on page 8 it said, I think the dates are maybe a bit amiss, or maybe I'm just not reading them correctly.
So yeah, so if you guys approve this project today,
Right.
and they don't start their project within 2 years, which is 2027, the project will expire. If they do get approved today and the conditions of approval on this project is approved today, it will expire in 10 years from today. Is
I
that,
noticed too.
is that what your question?
This project's been in the process for a while. I noticed the property management plan is dated 2019. It refers to 2019 in the future tense, so
What page are you looking at? Are you looking at the conditions of approval?
no, the property management plan.
Oh, okay.
No, the question I have is on page 8 of the 9. It says, "This permit shall be null and void if not used by August 28th, 2025."
Oh,
That's today. That seemed like,
Off by a year, correct?
yeah, I just think that was just a typo.
it must be a typo.
Yeah, I guess it's,
Get that correct.
Yeah, we'll get that corrected.
okay.
Thank you for that.
So that's why I was back and forth. Wait a minute, what is today? Okay. Those are all the questions I have for the moment. Thank you.
All right, if the applicant wants to come up and answer a few questions that were referred to you. Just please state your first and last name for the record.
Nicholas Tex.
So one of the questions that I had was regarding employees. How many employees were you going to have on site? If it's going to be, someone has to be there on site at all times, and where they will be, sleeping, resting.
2 full-time,
2 full-time.
up to 4.
Questions?
Okay. Well, that was my only question.
Good morning, my name is Trey Sherrill. I'm a consultant working on this application. I've been kind of jotting down your questions, and I came prepared to address the concerns that were raised by the Red Bud Audubon Society. I'm not sure which I should start with. It's fresh in my mind because I just quickly went through and did the calculations. I believe it was said that there was like a 20% difference between what was in the table and the numbers, but I checked, it's a 2% difference, and that's based because of that clip that was put in the initial study. It was taken from the hydrology study, but the hydrology study had 2 bars for water use. One was water usage for irrigation, and immediately under it was water usage, employee water usage. And so that 2% difference is the addition of employee water usage. Then I will go down. I was prepared. Please stop me if you have any questions. I love like a back and forth.
Thank you.
But I came prepared to address the concerns raised by the Audubon Society, so I'll just start there and then stop me, please, at any time. So the executed CDFW LSAA, we have a draft LSA agreement right now. As mentioned by Trish, I even provided her email from CDFW stating they're ready to issue the final permit. We just have to have the notice of determination prior to them issuing that final LSA agreement. The submit stamped hydraulics proving both water crossings past the 100-year flood flow and sediment and wood. A hydrology study and drainage analysis were performed by Swicegood Civil Engineering specifically for the 2 culverts to demonstrate that they would be able to, as proposed, those culverts would be able to pass the 100-year flood flow. Then State Water Board enrollment. This is the first page of the cannabis general order. And the last thing is WDR determinations. That's the cannabis general order is a general, it is a waste discharge requirements general order for water quality protection. So anyways, state all of that. The other items that were listed in there, the CGP, that's construction general permit, and any required 401 or 404 or 401. 404 and 401 are federal permits administered by the State Water Resource Control Board for dredging and fill and waters of the US, which includes navigable waterways and wetlands, is not applicable to this project. And the construction general permit is not applicable as well because it's already covered under the cannabis general order. AB 52 consultation, as mentioned earlier, we're not privy to that, but I do want to, remember when we had all the orange blocks up showing neighboring projects? I did do a walkthrough of the creek that the box culvert is going into that's on their property. Immediately upstream, that very large orange parcel on that site plan is a project I was working on. Now that I don't think they're moving forward with it. We haven't worked on it in several years, but I bring it up because several years ago I walked that stream, this entire length with the tribal historic preservation officer for the Middletown Rancheria, and so for them not to request AB 52 consultation, I think that it comes from a position of knowledge of this site. The water supply, as mentioned, 24-hour late summer pump test, that's not a requirement now. And I just did some calculations, and that would, at 25 gallons a minute, that would be over 36,000 gallons of water just pumped out and essentially wasted, poured out on the ground for the purpose of doing this test. And the maximum daily water use requirement of this project is less than 5,000 gallons. So it's a bit excessive for the small scale of this project. Finally, CAL FIRE safe access and water supply. It is a requirement to have a fire water storage tank. That's one of the conditions of approval for this project, with connections for emergency vehicles or emergency water supply. Currently, you cannot access this parcel or several parcels to the north of this parcel in a fire truck due to the creek crossing that the large box culvert is going to go into. So if this project's approved after installation of the improved creek crossings, fire apparatus would then be able to access these parcels north of the creek crossing, and then they would also have water resources available to them on this property. And so it would, in that regards, we are meeting those fire safe access requirements, even though the road situation is not compulsory due to that. It was mentioned earlier about, this is an outdoor only operation. The resolution number 2019-124, that was when the Lake County Board of Supervisors adopted a resolution stating that for 4290 requirements were applicable to everything except outdoor only cultivation. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but sorry, I kind of rattled off a lot of, I get nervous, so I start talking fast.
If I can just, I have a quick question. Thank you for giving me those numbers that I wanted about the gallons, because I have trouble with acre feet. So I'm rounding up a little bit. It looks like it's going to be about an acre. What's the spacing and how many plants are we talking about?
I know where this is going.
You know where this is going. So I'm just using this number. Okay?
I have a letter written, but I've not sent it to you yet about this exact topic.
Okay, well, let me just share it with the rest of us here, everybody else here. So I use the number 1,700 plants. I don't remember what that spacing is, but the rule of thumb, according to the one study we have on this topic, is that each plant will need 6 gallons a day. So my calculator says that you will need 10,000 gallons a day, but that still comes out to 7 gallons per minute, so I think we're fine.
Okay, I did it I do have a letter. I wrote it. I've even had a colleague review it. I'm going to send it to you. I haven't yet. It's explaining this. There are more studies out there now, and I cite them in this letter, and then cite the basis for that 6 gallons a minute, where that comes from. But yeah, it's from a practical perspective in the industry, the number of plants is irrelevant for water usage. It's the canopy space that matters when it comes to water usage.
I look forward to being educated. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that one of the other, or the comment that I remember Commissioner Rosenthal mentioned was about the solar power
that's right.
generator.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, there are these solar trailers that are really commonly used, particularly in the Central Valley ag, because you could just, hook it up to your truck, move it to a well, start pumping it there. And they all folds down. They're really great. They're called Titan. I don't know if you have electricity or internet. It's like Titan solar trailers. They're really cool. All my clients that are out in remote areas are starting to use them because they're economic, or they're affordable, I should say. And they have the base of the trailer is a large battery bank, and then on top of that you fold in these solar panels, and they're rugged. They're not brittle in any way, and well, I mean they're brittle, but they're made to be like towable across rough land, and then so you can move it into place, unfold it, start charging. You've got this battery bank and it's a large battery bank. I mean it's the whole trailer bed basically, with extra containment underneath that. And you can put it into place. And so a remote spot like this where no one's going to be on site for the winter period, it's a great idea. It's like you pull it out there, you hook it up, they can run their pumps on it, any kind of security lighting or the cameras that are required. You can run those things on it. And then at the end of the season, you fold it back up and take it and put it into dry storage for the winter. And really seeing a lot of success with that right now.
So what is so is that the sole use of power then for the parcel, or is there other power on the property also?
That would be the only available power there. There would be these trailers have a small gasoline generator backup power supply on them as well if the batteries run dry. But like I said, there's a massive battery bank, and pumping 5,000 gallons a day, it should not be any issue. And then processing is to occur off-site anyways. There's no processing building or anything like that. It's my understanding the intent is for most of this, if not all, to be under contract for fresh frozen, which means they harvest it, throw it in the back of a freezer truck, and take it immediately to where it's essentially a final destination.
I also have a question on the what was termed organic soil, which I just think of what Mother Nature has provided us is organic without us having to say it's organic, but nonetheless, there is going to be imported organic soil. It's proposed pots rather than in the ground. And so my question is just how much soil?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but the reason the organic distinction is most of the soil on the ground is mineral. It's not organic material. And so they're bringing in organic material to go with that. So you have, both the mineral and the organic component that the plants need to thrive.
Well, the word organic is a regulated term. So
I'm not referring to this in certified organic. I'm
Okay.
referring to it as carbon-based
Okay, so
organic
it's not a
material.
certified organic material, it's just plant-based material.
Yes,
Thank you.
chemistry
Like
organic.
topsoil is considered that. Instead of saying like sand, you would say kind of like topsoil would be that organic. It would fall under that organic because it has it's decomposed.
Like the O horizon, the A, B, as you go down, it's like the O would be the organic, and then it's more mineral as you get more mineral component as you go deeper into the soil.
And thank you for addressing the culvert question or explaining that.
Are there any more questions before I open up public comment? All right. Well, thank you very much. So I am going to open up public comment for this project. If you have your hand in the Zoom room, we'll take the Zoom room. And make sure to state your first and last name for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes.
Yeah. Good morning, planning commissioners. This is Tom Lasik. I want to touch on the road conversation a little bit. I think there's been frankly, a misrepresentation of the facts and what's required for 4290. It was mentioned that the road doesn't need to be 4290 compliant because it only has outdoor cultivation. I have the regulations in front of me, subsection 1270.03 scope. One of the effective activities is included but not limited to number C3, application for a use permit, which of course this is. The argument that it is outdoor cultivation in and of itself does not apply. It says here in section 4D, section D, the standards in subchapter 2 applicable to roads should not apply to roads used solely for agriculture, mining, or the management of timberland or harvesting of forest products. Jerusalem grade is not used solely for agriculture. It is, has any map, aerial imagery will show multiple residents on Jerusalem grade. It appears the applicant has acknowledged that the road in its current state is not 4290. The road between the two parcels has at least 2 hairpin curves that are not compliant to 4290. The idea that it doesn't need to apply is not correct. And it seems to be an acknowledgement that the road was never looked at for compliance except for adding the culverts north of the property. So I think it's important that the board that in past permits is getting tired of having applications come across when it's known that the road is not safe or not compliant, request that that road be studied, Jerusalem grade specifically, and any commercial activity that that requires a driveway to the operation. Again, no commercial activity, including cannabis cultivation, which this is a commercial use permit, allows for a driveway. It requires a road. So those are my comments, and thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment.
If I could provide us a little bit of clarification, please. Staff did not say that the road was exempt. The resolution the board passed exempted the project from 4290 requirements. So the resolution that they used also did say that our department was to come forward with ag road standards to actually be considered in the future, and that's still on my to-do list, but I haven't done that yet.
Thank you.
But we do not have a nexus for a project to be responsible for road upgrades outside the project site. There is no connection or regulation in the law whereby we can compel a permittee to improve roads outside of their project site.
Because then the question would be, how far do you go?
Well, that'd be
Yeah.
one of the many, many questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something we've faced before, and I'd like to thank Mr. Lasik for the comment. I think we need to continue as a county to look at the impacts these projects are having on our infrastructure. As I recall, we had a project up in Long Valley that had a lot of neighbors concerned about the road access.
Exactly, and then we just had the Gwinnett Valley project that just went through, and there was discussion about improvements on Butts Canyon Road, which is outside the project, but yet there was discussion about that.
It may be, yeah, thank you. It may be an opportunity for the board to consider the broader implications of agriculture's impact on all roads, not just specific to cannabis.
And not just agriculture.
I think it's projects. I think it's projects, whether they're ag or anything, so.
Yeah, I'm just saying that that was the purpose behind the resolution, to exempt these specific types of projects by categorizing them in the same as any other agricultural project.
So public input is still open. So I still welcome people on Zoom, if there is any more, or anyone in the chambers that wishes to speak. I don't see anyone here in chambers, so. Okay, we got another hand in the Zoom room.
Yeah, board, this is Margo Cambaro and Tom Lake.
I think we.
Hello, this is Tom Lasik again. I would respectfully disagree with the characterization given by CDD The overarching rules are from the state of California. Resolutions and ordinances that the county chooses to apply have to meet or exceed the safety standards. These are not something that, because they are safety regulations, it's not something that the county can waive or disregard. The fact is, while it may not be the responsibility of the applicant to fix the road, CEQA really doesn't care. The road needs to be fixed. If it's determined that the road needs to be fixed, it needs to be fixed. That should be something that the county has to take on if it chooses to properly abide by the 4290 regulations as written. I fully understand if the road is only used solely for agriculture and there are no structures on there and no residents anywhere on the road. That's why it's given that exemption. Same thing for a timber road or a mining road. But clearly Jerusalem Grade has residents on there, and there are other 4290 things that apply. And it does not appear there's anything in the record that shows that Jerusalem Grade was evaluated for 4290 compliance. As it pertains to the property, again, it is a requirement of 4290 that meet road requirements, not driveway requirements. There's no such thing as a commercial driveway in 4290 regulations. So while the county may have their own view of what they'd like to see or how they're going to resolve the issue, the overarching requirement from the state is the road needs to meet the safety guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. One last look in the Zoom room. All right, we're going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the commission for action. So I'd just like to start before we take action, that the project is in a location that I think fits the what they're applying for. It's not a huge project, and I would consider it one of the small projects that we usually get here. So seeing all the aspects of the project and what we heard today here from the applicant as well, and I'm looking forward to seeing the project. So that's it. I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move the Planning Commission find the potential impacts associated with PL 25 UP 2401, UP 2525, UP 2401 can be mitigated to less than significant through the implementation of the mitigated negative declaration PL 2525 IS 2401 for MIT Farms on property located at 22430 and 22368 Jerusalem Grade, Middletown. APNs 13607-102 and 03, with the findings listed in the staff report dated August 28th, 2025.
Before I vote, I would like to interject, and I'm sorry I should have stopped you before you. Just with the project, as Mr. Lasik had mentioned on the phone, there is, the road concerns that, as we discussed as a group here, that we do need to address this. So I have some reservations there, but on the other hand, I also appreciate the culvert that's going in. And so with that, yes, proceed, and I would second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
No.
opposed?
No.
One opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so 4 ayes and 1 opposed. The motion passes.
I move that the Planning Commission approve major use permit PL 2525 UP 2401 for MIT Farms on property located at 22430 and 22368 Jerusalem Grade, Middletown, APNs 13607-1, 02, and 03, subject to the conditions included attachment 2 and with the findings listed in the staff report dated August 28th, 2025.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
4 ayes and 1 opposed. Motion passes. The applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7 calendar day appeal period. If there's a disagreement with the Planning Commission's decision, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day, following the Planning Commission's final determination. Thank you very much. And with that being said, I'd like to request a 10-minute break so we can come back at 11 a.m. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome back to the Planning Commission. We're going to take our next item, 6C, our 935, that we're taking now at 11. Consideration of Administrative Appeal, PL 25-248, regarding the departmental denial of a renewal for a temporary dwelling permit at the property located at 1800 New Long Valley Road, Clear Lake Oaks. The APN is 062-611-10, and the appellant is Scott Renkees. I hope I said that right. All right, so we have staff with a report for us today.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Trish Turner, Associate Planner with the Community Development Department of Lake County. I'll just highlight some of the dates and things like that on this staff report. On January 20th, 2021, the appellant, who is present today, applied for a building permit BLD 21-00089 and a temporary dwelling permit ZP 21-13, attachment 1. To live in an RV on their property while constructing a single-family dwelling. The Community Development Department issued both permits on March 23rd, 2021. However, on August 2nd, 2021, staff discovered an error that the approved 800 square foot home did not meet the zoning standards of the residential design RD, requiring a minimum of 1,000 square feet with a 2-car garage. So the building department then revoked the building permit until at such time the appellant could provide a new site plan with the regulations being met. The department did allow the appellant to continue with their temporary dwelling permit, even though the code states that to have a temporary dwelling permit, that an active building permit is necessary. The revised site plans were submitted on January 24th, 2023, and the building permit BLD 21-00089 was reissued, and the zoning permit ZP 21-13 was extended on April 28th, 2023. On May 14th, 2024, the Community Development Department informed the appellant that their temporary dwelling permit had expired and was ineligible for renewal under Lake County Zoning Ordinance Article 27.3, subsection P. On May, which requires substantial construction progress to extend the temporary dwelling permit, the Community Development Director actually granted a renewal for the temporary dwelling permit, which was ZP 24-25 on May 8th, 2024, explicitly informing the appellant that this was the last extension permitted under the Lake County Zoning Ordinance, Article 27.3, subsection P, which permits 2 extensions, so for a total of 3 years. This condition was documented within the zoning permit and agreed upon by the appellant. On May 27th, 2025, the appellant requested another extension for their temporary dwelling permit from the Community Development Department to complete their stick-built house to be able to allow them to reside on their property in an RV, but was denied. Due to Article 27.3, subsection P, the county ordinance limits temporary dwelling permits for stick-built houses to a maximum of 2 extensions, with the total duration not exceeding 3 years. The appellant permit has been active for 4 years, and this is exceeding the allowable time frame. Article 58, appeals, allows administrative appeals of the department's decision for the denial of the zoning permit. In this case, the appellant submitted an administrative appeal on June 4th, 2025. And all supporting documentation has been attached to this staff report.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anything from you, Director, regarding this project?
I have nothing further to add. This project, well, I guess I do. This project is coming before you because of our due process. I was not able to find a way to resolve it, given that the code is very specific in its limitations. So I have no resolution to offer as an option for the commission.
Are there any questions from the commission?
Can, in the permitting process, can a new permit be issued, thus starting the clock again? And is that possible? And if so, are there fees involved?
I considered that as an option in lieu of an appeal. However, given the purpose of the time restriction, I didn't really think that that would be an option, because then if you play it out, these could continue forever. You know, there's no end point. It could be years and years and years, which, given the complaints that I get sent to me from Board of Supervisors, some of them are concerning houses that take many years to be finished, because they end up looking like blight is the complaint. So I didn't really consider that an option.
Have there been complaints about this particular?
Not this particular one, but
property?
I was thinking more of the essence or the spirit of the law.
Oh, sure, I just
Yeah.
wondered.
Are there any other questions from the commission?
Yeah, I have a question. I just want to make sure I understand, if I may address the applicants, if they're present.
They are present.
Wonderful. So I understand from the letter that you submitted that you are currently in $158,000 into project.
Approximately.
Okay. How much money do you expect it will cost to finish?
Probably rough guesstimate, with closing everything out, getting a final or at least a early occupancy so that we can get away from being in an RV. That's the whole goal of this. I don't like living in an RV. It's not my choice, hence building the home. I would say 30,000,
I see.
give or take.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. I don't know if this is the time to do it, but I do have documentation showing where we're at with the building process, and we've made substantial improvement per the letter.
I would like to see them.
Yeah.
We have walls now.
We have walls, we have a foundation. 3 months ago, we had a piece of concrete on the ground. And in 3 months, we've framed 3/4 of our home.
So is this construction legal? There's
Yes.
a question for.
Yes, they have an active building permit, and they are getting now since they are getting building inspections as well.
We've passed 5 building inspections since 2023.
Okay.
when the permit ended.
And so my understanding is that you kind of ran out of money.
Well, there was some.
It's been a time money issue.
Time
Right,
money.
okay.
Yes.
And
That's a good
then we also had a couple other issues.
With the
that-
water and the, yeah.
Well, wasn't so much we have water, we have power, we have septic, all permitted, everything's been permitted. There's no complaints on the property whatsoever, other than we went a little long. Money was a little short. I'm an owner builder. We have 3 small businesses in this county that contribute to the funds to make this happen.
When we started this, we did have the funds, but then, of course, the world stopped.
Right.
Inflation happened, and life has just been taken over and over, and then we've been kind of forced to nickel and dime it from there forward. Even to this appeal committee is half the price of our trusses. To come here and talk to you today cost us that. And so these little pieces have been slowly eating away at our progress. So we have to recoup the funds, which doesn't come exponentially as fast as they go out.
I'd also like to add that it was very clear that mistakes were made. We hold no blame. Stuff happens. We miss things. That was also during a pandemic where goods and services slowed down. Everybody was sheltered in place at that time prior to the last permit being issued for our temporary dwelling. I was personally in the hospital with COVID pneumonia, and I was out for 6 months on oxygen. So.
Thank you.
Pardon me for being a little emotional.
I understand. What I'm looking for is just, what we're trying to avoid here, I think, is to have projects that just keep dragging
Yeah,
on
no.
and on and on. So I just want
I
to see that.
agree, and I don't want to be a blight on the community.
Right.
We serve at the pleasure of this community.
We have multiple letters from various people in our community, from different builders, from stating what we do offer to our community, how we do serve at our church, within Spring Valley itself, and the community events, the Halloween projects, the breakfasts, all the little things that go on there we are part of. We are fully immersed in our community and continue to be so. Since then, we have started 3 businesses. I have a house cleaning business that I clean houses throughout the lake. I also opened a craft studio in Lucerne to help bring arts with the Arts Foundation back to that part of the community to help build up Lucerne community. And also have what's called the Taste of Lake County, which is a charcuterie business, which pulls from all the different farmers markets and all the different tasting options we have here in the county to help provide a taste of Lake County. So we have all these things going on to help support our housing and get this done. And so it's not a time to just put a brakes on and stop. It would be very detrimental if we had to move off our property into town, because the closest town is Clear Lake, and that would not be where I would want to live. I love supporting it and being part of that community, but to put a house forever, it would probably be on the other side of the lake, which would be more feasible to what we want to do with having animals and our farmland. And so we just asked for the extension. Actually would love to have the whole new permit, because time-wise, it takes us 5 days to hear back from our structural engineer just to get certain things done to get this roof put on. And I don't see certificate of occupancy being done before next November. And if we just extended it, that would put us back in here talking to you again at the same time next
doing
year.
the same thing
But with a
over.
whole new permit, we would be complete by the time that was over.
By next November, you mean November 2026?
I don't see why we wouldn't have a certificate of occupancy.
Well, with the new permit, and this is just a question that I have, so that we all understand kind of where we're at. With the new permit, that would generate a maximum, with the direction of Maria Turner and that office, CDD, the possibility of 2 extensions. Not that we would need them, but
If something happens.
If something happens, we want to protect our investment. We want to protect the time that it takes to do this project. We're an owner builder. I'm doing most of the project myself while working a full-time job. It's hard to go to work every day, come home, and then go out there and frame till midnight to get up and do it all over again, but I'm doing it.
But that would give us time if the supply chain screwed up again for whatever reason.
We're just trying to be forward-thinking in this process, and we would lean for your direction.
All right, thank you.
What's the date of the pictures that we received from you guys?
The date of them, yesterday,
Yesterday? Okay.
4:36 p.m. No.
You want to,
Those probably need to become part of the public record. There's some photographs that they handed.
But like I said, we included the fact, there's a printout of our inspection report. Since 2023, we've pulled 5 inspections. And my question would be to the board, is there a clear-cut definition to substantial improvement? Like year 1 in your permit of your temporary dwelling, you have to get X, X, X,
Right.
and X done. In the second year, if you ask for an extension, you need to get X, 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 and X done, because I'm held to the building code standard that says I have to build my house a certain way, which I adhere to. We're looking for definition today on substantial improvement, so that I'm clear. Moving forward, we're all clear, should the board grant us a new permit. I couldn't find one.
Are these
I scoured
questions
the
that
internet.
you guys can, that staff can answer?
We are looking for options right now that might fit the code, if the commission would be willing to take a 5-minute break.
I think it would be nice to be able to read these letters.
Yeah.
find some.
So
Good
it's,
time.
But
Yeah, so
I'd also like to know, I mean, where my mind is going with this is, do we want to deny the appeal in order to refile? Or I'm not quite understanding.
No, we're not working on an option for a new permit because that would kind of open the door for lots of new permits whenever they expire. But we are looking for maybe something that can help us kind of muddle through this. We'll have it sketched out for you in a few minutes if you want.
Is 5 minutes enough, or should we make it 10?
10's good.
10? Okay.
Thanks.
So it's 11:15. We'll come back at 11:25.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something? Or-
I think once we come on. All right, welcome back. We're ready to continue with our item where we left off. We gave staff some time to shuffle some things around and see what we could come up with, so.
And I'd like to just say something first. It seems to me that this appeal should be approved. It seems to me that these are people who, they have stated that they have good reasons to be in the situation they're in. However, it's not clear to me that the Planning Commission has the legal authority to do this. So what I'm going to recommend, I would like to kick it down the road. That's the
For the lack of better terms.
yeah, in other words, what I would like to do is continue this item to our next meeting so that staff has time to clarify what the law states. If we can actually, if we have the authority to grant an appeal for an expired permit, that's my understanding of the issue, and so that's what I would recommend that we do.
So Steph and I did actually review the zoning ordinance. We reviewed a number of sections that relate to planning permits and zoning permits, excuse me. And unfortunately, we were unable to find anything that would give this commission the authority to renew this permit for a number of reasons. If this permit had been, if the appeal, if the renewal request had come before the expiration of the permit, it would have stayed the permit, and then we would have been considering a renewal, but it did not in this case. The permit, in my understanding, expired, so there is nothing to renew. But even if that deadline had been met, unfortunately, this zoning ordinance of this county restricts this particular permit to a specific number of renewals, so only 2, each one to be a year. And which means that your commission does not, under the ordinance, have authority to grant a third extension.
So let me ask you this. You say this particular permit.
Correct.
Is there another category of permit that might be available to allow these folks to continue with constructing their house? I mean, I don't know what it would be, but I'm just, permits are permits. I just don't know.
My understanding is that the building permits for the house are still valid. The only issue here right before you today is the appeal of a denial of a continuance of a zoning permit, which allows for a temporary dwelling on site while the house is built. So the permit that cannot be renewed more than twice is one that allows for, I think, a trailer, is it? An RV? Yeah, an RV to be on site and connected to utilities and things like that while the house is being built. They still have, even if this permit is not renewed, they still have a building permit and the ability to build their house.
Oh, thank you for that clarification. I thought it was that they couldn't build a house. So the thing is that they can't be on site living in a RV
Temporary
or trailer at this time, but they could be not living there in the trailer, but continuing to build the house.
Correct.
Is it the trailer, or it could be a tent?
It's a temporary dwelling, however, that is defined in the ordinance.
Okay, all right.
And there are certain requirements. I don't think that our ordinance allows for, in fact, in some circumstances, it might prohibit outright camping on your own property.
That was sort of facetious. So if they could park their trailer someplace else, they could still continue building the house until they got temporary permitted occupancy, then you wouldn't have to live in the trailer.
The struggle with that is the cost that would be
where?
involved in renting a place. Relocation of our animals that would cost more money that could be put towards completing this project. In other words, we would be going backwards financially.
Right.
Yeah.
And the safety of all the,
Everything that we have on the property.
yeah.
Sure.
All the wood, I mean, this is
Yeah,
out in
it's an
Spring Valley.
investment,
Yeah,
and,
friend.
The minute someone doesn't think someone's living there, everything will be pilfered.
Yeah.
friendly neighbors
We
that,
got great neighbors.
no, but I mean, could you park your place
Is
and
it a matter, let me ask the question, because I know you guys are trying to come up with something, and I appreciate that. Is it a matter of the trailer actually being on site, or is it a matter of us living on site? Let's just say, for an example, we had a neighbor that would put us up in the valley across the street, but yet leave the RV there so that we're not incurring cost of moving it off the property to finish the house to move it back onto the property because it's our recreational vehicle.
Or and your property that's allowed to be on your property, but I think a way to that would work, it would have to be disconnected, and that would have to be probably
yeah, so you'd have to live in,
inspected that it was
live over the
disconnected.
neighbors, but, just looking at, we're splitting hairs here, and so
Yeah.
is there a way that if they lived across the street with their trailer, mobile home, I'm sorry,
Without the mobile home, yeah.
okay,
Leaving it on site.
yeah,
But
To leave a trailer on site would be an accessory use without a primary use, but it's so low a priority for us that I don't see a problem with leaving it on site. You just can't reside in it.
So we can come and go, handle our business, keep an eye on our animals, and it's at a low priority for leaving the RV on the property, correct?
Code enforcement has many much more important things to do with their time.
yes, and so in consistency throughout the county, there are many trailers.
However, I can't guarantee that should it become an issue, which would include complaints, code enforcement is complaint-driven
Correct.
in many cases as well.
Correct. Seems like you have a lot of support,
Yes.
but also consistency. The same problem I was having with the first project we heard today is consistency throughout the county. There are a number of situations where people continue to live in a trailer while building their house that's way beyond 3 years. So, and I also, in this project, I have an issue with the start of the project in 2021, and then there was an error that was of no fault of the applicant. That was a fault that was discovered by staff and, was an issue that developed in the department. So in 2021, at the beginning, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the applicant was ready and set to go. However, you had your plans done, you presented your plans in 2021, you got the permit, the process moved forward and stuff. You ran into some complications that perhaps, you just didn't do, like the surprise of the 23,000 for water hookup and stuff, which you're not the first to run into that surprise. And so perhaps, bad on you for not doing your due diligence before, but on the other hand, that's, the average person kind of goes through those difficulties. But anyway, I'm just looking at this, if there is some way, or this shouldn't have been reset, number one. Two, at the very beginning, after the 2021 issue that was discovered August 2nd, 2021, if the whole thing shouldn't have just been reset with the new plans that were delivered in 2023. So that's my question, is...
I think we have a number of questions today that need to be researched. So if anyone else agrees with me, I think that we should just kick it down the road. I think the objectives would be achieved if we did that.
Well, the only problem...
We're in a bureaucratic spiral. It doesn't seem to have an end. So to me, the only solution is to not to talk about it for another 3 hours, but to give staff time to do some more research and maybe kick it down the road to a time indeterminate.
I think what's before us today is that if eventually, or what happened was that the permit expired. So I don't think we can do anything about that. It was explained by council that, there's not much that we can do today. But the problem that I have is that knowing that that was a fact, that you guys still had to, I'm sure, these appeals cost money, right?
Yes.
And, I mean, we come here today and now it's like, okay, we can't do anything about it, so that's another cost to you again. And it's a repetition of what I've seen in your letter, that it's
Correct.
errors that happen that are costing you money. But I think we got something good out of it today, that, there's some possible other alternatives that we can deal with but I mean, it's stuff that you could have figured out without having to pay for this.
Yeah,
So,
without, how can I say this? in the
Would we have to
spirit-
pay for a longer extension on the committee?
In other words, in our appeal,
Okay.
to pay for the appeal, are we gonna have to continue to pay until the decision is made? I mean, we don't know. We don't know how it works,
yeah,
so.
council's saying
No.
no. But I guess I'm just trying to, how do we get to where we have to go? Do we just deny this appeal because, I mean, actually, we can't even take it on, right? We can't
My
make
understanding
this motion?
is that we are not in a position of authority to either approve or deny the appeal. That's my understanding. It is unclear to me, and I'd like to have some more answers before I vote on it. So instead of just letting it slide and not doing anything, I would suggest that we kick it down the road for a couple weeks at least. And at that time, we may decide, with having better informed ourselves, that we can deny it or not deny it, or just not take action at all.
So whatever the situation is now will continue in place until, until the next time when it comes before us. Now, do we set a,
The situation then that would continue is that there is an expired permit and there should not be any residential use of that property right now.
See, and that's where I have the concern of that, whether or not that permit should be expired, or whether or not it should have just rebooted fairly to the applicant in 2023, in which case the permit would not be expired.
The permit was also extended in 2024.
There's two extensions.
That would have been
Correct.
one, but that would have been just one, and we
That
would
would've
agree.
But I'm saying, if it started, if the permit was actually reinitiated in 2023, when you had to renew your plans and resubmit them, which all took time, so if the process started in 2023, then you'd only be looking at having one extension, and you'd still have one more extension which you could apply now. So that's what I'm saying. If there's a possibility that we can undo the expiration of the permit and say it still exists.
Right.
So because we're going to reboot it and have it started at 2023 rather than starting in 2021. So in that way, then you're not 4 years into the project. You're, 2 years
Right.
on your third year. So, and then you're going to have to hightail it to finish it. That's
Already
just,
on-
that's
already on
my
it.
proposal.
I think that's
So-
a really good point.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
I would
point.
like to, that's one of the things that needs to be explored further, I think, by staff.
so understanding that the permit to live in the temporary abode on the property has expired, is there somehow some sort of allowance until, to implement that until a final decision has been made? A little grace period till we get our stuff together and decide whether or not,
Article 27 requires that when a temporary dwelling unit is no longer permissible, there are a 45-day timeline to remove it
so they would have 45 days.
from the expiration.
We'd hear it in 14. Hopefully, we'd put it on the calendar for our next meeting.
Okay. So there wouldn't be any action taken in that period of time is what is my
There's no
wonder.
guarantee. There's no guarantee. Once the permit expired, you're right. There is a time frame from expiration, and assuming that was relatively recent, then the 45-day count would start then for dismantling and removing.
Okay.
So they would, within that time frame, if they were still dismantling and removing, then they would be in compliance.
So do we know, I don't recall, do we know when the permit expired? I'm sure we do.
Thank you. I believe that the permit expired on May 14th, 2024. No,
No.
sorry. May 27th, 2025 is when it expired. This year.
So if we revisit this in 14 days and hopefully craft a solution for this, is that?
I would suggest a time indeterminate or at our next meeting, our regularly scheduled meeting.
If we could take another 5-minute break to work through the timeline.
I think we can have the answers that you need without continuing it in 2 weeks.
Okay. So we'll return in 5 minutes at 11:50. All right, and we're back after we had some time to go over our item with staff, and we do have some direction from the director.
Yes, thank you. Originally, the building permit was not in compliance with the residential design overlay guidelines. It was issued anyway. And then staff realized at a later date this lack of compliance, and the building permit was revoked. Based on that, it was when it was reissued, and understanding that the applicants had to revise their plans to be in compliance with Article 27 or the residential design, the permit was reissued on April 28th, 2023. So then they would, we could then extend it, but the latest date then with the extensions would then be April 28th, 2026, with no further extensions available. So that gives us until spring of next year, but I think that the Planning Commission can establish, can uphold the appeal with an understanding of a final extension expiring April 28th, 2026. We can make that work.
So is that a motion that we make?
You could say so moved.
So moved.
Wait, well,
Okay.
or
Sorry.
is that agreeable to the applicants or to
Yes.
the folks filing the appeal?
Well, anything's better than moving off the property.
So it would be moving off the property no later than April 28th, 2026.
And it would be my request to know, is that by 2026, and I'm only asking, what if we qualify for an earlier occupancy? Than it
Oh,
would
well,
be
then you don't need the temporary
And
dwelling.
that's our
Yeah.
goal. That's our
Sure.
intent and the spirit of the build.
That would make me
Get it done as
super
fast as
happy.
possible.
Yeah.
But we had
Me
some bumps
too.
in the road, and I'm sorry that things were missed. I get it. Look, I'm not here to point fingers. It doesn't do any good. What I'm saying is I appreciate the time, and I would be willing to accept that, so that we don't have to relocate, create a blight in a community, and cause undue hardship that would further the build not getting done financially.
Okay, and so just for clarification, April 28th, 2026, that means that the final is signed off on with the building?
Is that August or April?
April. Did I say August? I'm sorry.
April 28th.
April 28th, 2026. So,
Commissioner?
so I'm looking for clarification on,
Yeah,
It
understood.
It would be close.
So the,
I'm just trying to run a timeline in my head, because like I said, I am working. We have the means to get it done as it comes in, and I think that,
but that is the deadline.
That's it.
We have a council,
What's expected?
excuse me, council would like to say something.
the building permit is separate from this zoning permit.
Right,
So
right.
so 45 days after April 28th, 2026, the temporary dwelling would need to be dismantled and removed. I think it's after that date. But the building could still go on if necessary, provided there's valid permits for it and everything like that.
and our
But
goal is to get an early occupancy, so that way we don't have to wait till the end of the build to get a final to be able to live there, and then it would be a moot point with the RV.
Right. So this is simply you're living in this auxiliary dwelling. That's
Yes.
what this covers. So, are there any questions?
So is it appropriate for us to uphold the appeal?
We just,
Article 58 allows for administrative appeals to the Planning Commission, and under 58.15, the Planning Commission may either sustain the decision being appealed, so agree with the director, or uphold the appeal and render such a new decision as it considers appropriate.
okay, well, I wanted to move to agree with the proposal that was set forth by the director.
Do we still have to open this up for public comment?
Second.
That's correct, right?
Yes.
So before we motion, before we make our motions,
You could have, yeah.
yeah. So, public comment is open. If anyone in the chambers wishes to speak, I see no hands in the chambers. Oh, we do have one hand in the chambers. Just be sure to state your first and last name, and you'll be given 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Helen Mitchum. You have a letter from me in your package. I have lived in Spring Valley for 33 years. I'm kind of like the oldest one there. So I've seen lots of things being built and not being built and left stagnant for a long time. I have seen people who just go with it and hope nobody will notice. So I really appreciate the fact that Sarah and Scott are not ignoring the problem, the issue. They've come forward. I appreciate so much the solution. He gets emotional, so I'm going to get emotional too. This is awesome. These are the kind of people that we really want to have and grow and keep in Spring Valley. We need them. We need that kind of spirit and the kind of people that will work with our youth and work with all of us old people and take care of us and bring us faith in whatever is coming. So I appreciate it. That's all I want to say.
Thank you for your comment. We have one more hand in the chambers.
Yes, my name is Joseph Bartholomew. I've lived across the road from Scotty and Sarah for 3 years, but I've known them for 25 years. And I moved to Spring Valley after cancer treatment. And Scotty and Sarah have looked after me this time in my recovery. Recently, I just had a valve replacement. And so they look out for me, they look out for everybody in the valley, and it would be a detriment to me if they had to move. You know, I'm like 8 weeks past my surgery, and they call and make sure I'm okay, make sure I have food, if I need groceries and those types of things. So it would be something very detrimental if they had to move. And that's all I needed to say today.
Thank you very much for your comment. Do we have any hands in the Zoom room? No hands in the Zoom room, nobody else in chambers, so I'd like to close public comment and bring it back to the commission. Well, I'd like to start off by saying I'm happy that we came up with some kind of solution for this. I mean, from seeing the letters and hearing the people that came here to support you guys, you know, you guys really are part of you guys' community and not just in your neighborhood. So I'm happy that we came to something for you guys.
Thank you.
So I'm looking for a motion, unless if there's anything.
We already have it.
We have a motion on the floor.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? None, and the motion passes. Right, thank you. We made it just before lunch.
Well done.
Yeah.
Where are we going? Have a blessed day, guys.
You too, thank you. Have a great day. Thank you. Do we? Oh, yeah, we do. All right. Non-timed items?
Nope.
And department update?
Yep.
Well,
Would you like to update before me? Go ahead.
no, well, I have a question just on the, we receive, I don't know how my fellow planning commissioners feel about this, but we receive the packet here when we arrive. And I feel like I'm duplicating things because, of course, I'm doing, you know, all the work at home, and I print out what I need, and then I come here and I'm shuffling through double packets, you know, because I printed out kind of what I feel like I need to have in front of me, and then I have this complete packet I don't know what to do with. So, and I'm just wondering if there was any possibility that we could get that packet, you know, that whatever's presented us to the day, if we can get that earlier, you know, and mailed to us on the Friday or something, so that we know what's already printed out and don't have to duplicate.
We can make a practice. So what you see in front of you when you arrive in the morning are what we call the green sheets. Those are the documents that we receive after the posting of the agenda. We could make it a practice to email you everything that we have by the end of Friday. Oh, you got a paper packet? Oh.
We're talking,
Well, that is lovely, but that should be exactly the same as what you have access to prior to the meeting.
It isn't.
And that we have access to that on the internet, but I think that some of us like the paper copy, so we end up printing it out ourselves.
So
And then I arrive here and I've got two packets, basically, one that was just given to me here that's nice, very nicely done.
So maybe I wasn't listening to your actual
okay,
question.
so what's happening, as I see it, is we get a presentation, which, like, for a good example, happened today. We got to see a map that we had not seen before in the presentation made by staff. We also have a packet that is kind of a summary of the presentation, as I understand it. I kind of follow it, but that is not the same as what we receive or are able to view on the agenda.
So what I'm hearing
before-
then is there is data in the presentation not included in the staff report that would be valuable for you to have. We will make sure that that gets included in the staff report.
It's, no, the opposite. There's information in the staff report or the presentation by staff
Yeah,
that occurs at the meeting.
that would be helpful
It would be good to have it
in the
ahead of time.
staff report.
Right.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think the issue is probably that the information that you are making public via the agenda online, and I don't know if there's other ways you do that as well, maybe they're up at your desk, those do not include the staff presentation that is made day of.
Correct.
So it would be nice to have that.
You'd like to see the PowerPoint slides as part
Right.
of the agenda.
Correct, but I don't know if that needs to be, if that is considered part of the public information.
We can do
You'd have to
that.
ask Nicole.
We can work with staff to have their presentations available earlier
Or just
so
online.
that they can be posted. We can do that.
Or maybe just work on the consistency between the.
I think the consistency would
That's
take care of the problem as well.
That would be a
And
brilliant
then we
solution.
could print the if I may, we could print the packets for commissioners to pick up maybe
Sure.
on Friday if they wanted to. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have
mail it.
time to mail them to you in hard copy because they won't be ready. But if you wanted to just send us a request that you'd like to stop by and pick up a paper copy, we'd be happy to do that.
I would love to be
Okay,
able to
so-
access it
and-
without cutting down trees. If we
And-
could just access it.
Yeah, the Friday before the Thursday meeting would be great, give us enough time. And to Monica's point, I printed out the stuff too, because, I like to make notes on it and all that kind of stuff. But this is beautiful. It's like, but if I got that ahead of time, I could just, work from that.
But, so what's given to us, like, today is basically, it's just the staff report. I mean, it doesn't have every single document
No.
that, of course, is, attached. that
They'll
we
have
can
the
look
staff
at
report and the
online.
conditions.
Correct. And so essentially, that's basically what I print out. I don't know what anybody else does, but, so that's, so my bottom line is, like, on the second project, you read the motion and stuff, because I'm going through this here trying to find the motion. Because it's not in the right place that is in my stuff.
That should not occur. That's a different,
No, I mean, I'm saying that if I'd received this earlier, then I could clearly have that motion marked and ready for me to use, off of the county packet that's being provided to me. I have it in my papers that I could have pulled it from, but then I was like sorting through this packet. So I either don't need this packet at all, and I'll just depend on my own materials, or can you get this to me earlier so that I can mark what I need to mark on it?
See if paperwork.
Sounds like the issue is that Pam went above and beyond.
Yes,
Yes.
that would be true.
Having everything.
No, but we were getting this, it's not Pam, it
were?
was Danae was
Oh,
giving us
yeah.
this packet too. So sorry, Danae. I hope you're off vacationing.
But don't have to be. But having that, if we could pick it up the Friday before the Thursday and have it all printed out, that would be, super helpful.
I mean, this is some of the key material
So-
that we need. And I really appreciate having it, but I don't want to, use my own printer, and I don't want all this paper.
yeah. How about if you just let Pam know going forward that you'd like to have a hard copy, then as soon as you see the email going out that the agenda's ready, you can stop by.
And we won't print hard copies until we get confirmation of who wants them to
Right.
your point, Commissioner Field.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. That works
You
out.
just have to let Pam know individually. who
And just to
wants.
Thank you.
answer Commissioner Field's semi-query, any information shared with the commission is public information. So the presentation should be, there shouldn't be a problem with posting it or providing it to you.
But there is no requirement for Brown Act that a PowerPoint be posted to the agenda.
Right. That's my update. Thank you.
Well, you kind of stole the thunder on my first update, that Danae LaDolce has retired, and Pamela Miles is our new planning commissioner clerk. So she has a lot to learn kind of quickly. So I would appreciate your patience as we bring her up to speed, but we are fully confident that she's already learning a lot really fast, and she's doing a great job so far. So we welcome her to our this new position. Secondly, we are conducting interviews now for code enforcement officer that will handle hazardous vegetation program, as well as a resource planner. And one cool thing about that, why I bring that up, is that we had so many applicants for both positions that we have to do a panel interview to get through the first wave. So it's really kind of exciting. Yeah, people want to work with us. I'm happy. And I still thank the board for their support in making the wages more competitive in those positions. So that more than I'm sure, people wanted to work with our department, that in itself was significantly important in attracting talent to these positions. And then, lastly, just to let the commission know that at Tuesday's meeting, the board approved the Gwinnett Valley project with its all multiple moving parts. So I wanted to thank Laura Hall for hanging in there, keeping the many moving parts all moving forward.
I'm still wanting to follow the ag exempt property, that 325 acres, and how that's going to be processed, as I asked at the last meeting. So
Sure.
I still don't know who's tracking that, who's following that.
That would be me. And I'll get back to you and let you know as soon as I know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes my update. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you for everyone that made it out here today. Thank you, staff. Thank you, commissioners. And meeting adjourned at 12:06.